Hey guys, it's Alex over at Disney Coffee and Book Talk. Welcome back. We are doing chapter 13 from Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Before I dive into this, although I don't really have new news from the horrible J.K. Rowling, I do want to shout out to this TikTok creator who's an artist and makes art from the books. Although I have mixed feelings about doing book art, he's a real one. So I'm going to show you his video and then y'all can come back. Also check him out on TikTok. This is where I did find him. So this artist decides to use Harry Potter and the words to create the art that creates visions. The art forms the pictures of the trans people in honor of them because of their death. And we know that J.K. Rowling is transphobic. Hold on. My dog wants back out. And it's like, no matter how many times. Come on. I let this boy in and out. If I am filming, he wants out. So, there we go. Anyway. Okay, that being said, I wanted to put this in to honor the trans community. I thought this was really beautiful. Go check him out. He is on TikTok. That's where I found this. But especially because we know that you cannot separate the art from the artist. That whole term is meant to be really for people who had passed away. But even then, their art still can reflect the harm that they cause. Okay, let's just be clear. Especially in books, their bigotry bleeds into their work. You cannot separate the art from the artist. And that is my whole point of why I'm doing this entire series, right, is to go through not just J.K. Rowling's books. I just picked up another one that I'm going to go through as soon as I finish all of these chapters. But for several reasons, that author is also problematic, but I want to go through it to show the running themes. Okay, let's talk about this chapter, though. We're in chapter 13, and majority of this chapter deals with Quidditch, whether Harry was practicing with the team or then their match with Ravenclaw. I don't know why I was just about to come. It's been a day. I'm telling y'all, it's been a day. So what was I saying before I got interrupted by my kid? I'm trying to film this part of the video several times and keep getting interrupted. So yeah, my mind keeps blanking out. All right, that's what I was gonna say. So Harry goes down to the Quidditch field to practice with the team. Ron comes with. He gets the fly on the firebolt. So does Madam Hooch. Madam Hooch is like, oh my god, this is the coolest thing ever. Let me know down in the comments if you've ever had a teacher that was as cool as Madam Hooch, because I feel like we've all had at least one teacher that was just so loosey-goosey, fun, chill with the, that sounds really weird coming from a 35-year-old. Understanding the kids, want to be hip, but like also educational. I've had several teachers growing up, through elementary, middle, high school, and then also in college. But I would say that my most notable for this kind of character would be my my English teacher Adam Smith. Okay, I had him for 3 years when I went to high school. He does teach in New York City, or he was teaching in New York City at some point. So if you've had him from a different school, I totally understand. And although he was really fun and we learned stuff, he was also very chill. Like, he would bring his guitar in and we would just vibe out. Okay? Like, we would vibe out. Anyway, that's going a little bit into my background. That was years ago, okay? You guys are seeing the bugs out right now. All right, continuing on. So they have their Gryffindor have their match with Ravenclaw, and there's a few things that happen that I want to mention in this match. Number one, we have the first mention of both, or in this chapter, we have the first mention of both Cho Chang, right? Again, we talked a little bit about her in the previous chapter, where she is the only notable Asian character, it's very notable how racist that name is. Like, that is, you couldn't think of any other name. Like, it had to be a slur-sounding name. Like, are you fucking kidding me? But she is this is the first time we see her in the books. It's also the first time we hear of Cedric Diggory. And I want to make that very clear. This is the first time we hear of Cedric Diggory. Now, we will see these two characters come up in the future. Especially, they're both pretty notable in the fourth book, which is the next book of the series, right? Why did I just blank out what the fourth book was? Wow, my brain is just not functioning. Like, I'm completely skipping over. And the Goblet of Fire, oh my god. I kept thinking Order of Phoenix. I'm like, no, that's number 5. Yeah, it's the Goblet of Fire. We do hear of these two characters in the Goblet of Fire. We do kind of get to know them a little bit more in that. But this is, like I said, this is just the first mention. Okay, that being said, Cho Chang is on the she's a Ravenclaw. She's a Seeker on their team. She's a little bit smaller in stature. Again, very using stereotypical characteristics of Asian people, but JK's not racist? Question mark? Okay. Anyway, so Cho versus Harry with the Seekers. They're playing the game, and Cho is on his ass. She said, I'm not just going to watch for the snitch. I'm going to be on him. He is fast. If he sees it, I know he's going after it. And so it's kind of how they're playing. She's playing offensively. He's kind of playing defensively. And so he's looking for it, but also trying to get away from her. And she's like, I'm just going to just follow him and then try to be faster, right? Like, actually, it's not a bad strategy. I'm just saying, but I digress. But during this, at one point in the middle of the game, right, a couple of Dementors end up coming on the field. Except it's not really the Dementors at this point. It is actually Malfoy, Crabbe, Goyle, and the Slytherin captain pretending to be Dementors, and Harry has his wand and produces the Expo Patronum spell. It works, and it actually ends up still knocking these boys back and scaring the heck out of them, which I love because, like, first of all, you're distracted with the game. It's probably why he wasn't affected. Harry said, like, I wasn't affected this time. I was able to use the Expecto Patronum charm, or spell, whatever you call it, and the boys got scared. Darn Dootin, because fuck you, Malfoy, fuck you, Crabbe, fuck you, Goyle, fuck you, the captain of the Slytherin team. Like, the amount of bullying that happens in the school is utterly disgusting, I just want to say. And it's not just from some of these students. We also see it within the teachers like Snape and Trelawney and a couple of others, right? But anyway, Gryffindor ends up winning. They go to celebrate, and that is when Ron is still upset about Scabbers. Oh, I sped forward. Hold on. Let me go back a moment. When I was talking in the last chapter, and I had the theory that Crookshanks could be a wizard that can transform, this chapter almost had a moment where that could have been, because when Ron and Harry were coming back from that Quidditch practice, no, Ron does not play Quidditch at this point, but he went to go support his friend, and then he got a chance to ride the firebolt. They came across something with glowing eyes as they were walking towards the castle in the dark, and Harry used the Lumos spell to light something, and then they saw Crookshanks. Of course, this upsets Ron, but this cat being outside, this cat watching them, you have very real predators right in the Forbidden Forest, which was right there. There was just a lot. I am an animal lover. Okay, I have lots of them. In fact, I think our dog is outside again. Yeah, just let him out, right? Like, you guys know I have at least one, if not multiple animals. I don't think it's a good idea to bring animals to a boarding school and just let them roam everywhere. We see this with Neville Longbottom and his toad escaping. We see this with Crookshanks. We see this with Scabbers, and these are just a few of the animals. I'm just saying, I don't think it's a good idea, right? And I'm all for animals. I'm all for children having responsibility, but again, how are they getting food? How are they caring for these animals? Are they going to the vet? These are real things that should be answered, although not necessarily in the book. But as an author, you should think about this, like plot holes. Hello, just my thoughts. And I've never seen a toad go to the vet before, but I know that there's vets that specialize in reptiles, so again, I don't know. Okay, I've had frogs before. They ate each other. Yeah, I was a kid. Okay, I did not want frogs. Just, it was traumatic. But I have had a mouse. I've had a pet mouse. I have dogs, cats, cows, horses, had chickens. What else did we have? We've had newts. We've had bird, pigs. Okay, you guys get the point. We've had a lot of animals. I've had a bunny as well. Yeah. I've had a lot of animals. It's just one of those things. My parents rarely said no to animals. Rarely said no. Anyway, there's my baby. Hi. My buddy's down there. My son's dog. Our bear. A bear. I just don't think it's a good idea. Anyway, so Crookshanks watching Ron and Harry is a little weird to me. I know that they're friends with Hermione, but animals can sense when you don't like them, and we know that they don't like Crookshanks. They don't ever have a good interaction with this cat. And while cats can absolutely be aloof, it is definitely dependent on their personality. I have 6 inside right now, okay? Inside alone. 12 at the barn. I go to the animal shelter at least once a month, if not more than that. I've had a lot of animals, okay? I've had more than these 6 cats. I've had at least 20 over the years, if not more. Yeah. A tie. Come here. See, here's our bear. You want to say hi? You want to say hi? Come here. There's the bear. Okay, so I am an animal lover. Just want to make that clear. I still don't think this is a good idea. Hold on, let me let him in. You want to go inside? Okay. All right. That being said, I think it's weird the way that Crookshanks watches Harry and Ron and is always looking only for Scabbers, especially when other people can have rats in the castle as pets. Okay? And like, I can't imagine that if you have a pet rat as a student, that there isn't some kind of charm or some kind of charm on the cats so that they don't go after each other. That's not to say that cats and rats can't get along or cats and dogs can't get along. I mean, my dog loves our cats. He's chill. They don't mind him, right? They don't fight ever. Let me put it that way. And every cat has a different personality. I will say that. But there's just something about the way that Crookshanks acts makes me think there's something more to this cat. Okay? Again, I have. And Crookshanks is, if I remember, they use the Maine Coon. I have a Maine Coon. She's called the fucking demon cat for a reason. She does not like anybody. She will watch you. Unless she likes you. She'll still bite you, by the way. She's the only one that nobody, like, really wants to touch. It's ridiculous. But all my other, literally, out of all of the cats that I've had, she's the only one that just, everyone is terrified of her because of how she acts. Now, she did have a different home prior to us, and although she was a kitten, I don't think that they treated her well, and she does have chronic issues because of that. They were really heavy smokers, and she got really sick. She was only 4 months old, which is really sad. But yeah, I don't know. There was just something about Crookshanks. I know I'm going off on a big tangent of this. There was just something about Crookshanks. However, this leads me to what's going to happen at the end of the book. Or not at the end of the book, at the end of this chapter, right? It's not Crookshanks, but hear me out. So this was between the practice and the game. The game happens. Oh, by the way, Lee Jordan is Fred and George's best friend, and he's doing the, what is it? The announcements. Oh my god, he is so fucking funny. I love when people go off on a tangent during their announcements, and like the whole interaction between him and McGonagall is hilarious. Also, he is one of the few black characters that we know of, described as such, and then also is casted in the movies. He wasn't the only, but he was one of the few that had a bigger role. And I don't think that his name was such a big deal or his typing, but like, if I had to pick any character to continuously like in any other book, Lee Jordan would absolutely be it. He's funny. He's kind. I like it. Anyway. What was I going on about? Okay. So anyway, they have a party. They win the Quidditch match. They're having a party in the common room in Gryffindor, right? And it's going late. And Ron and Hermione are not having a conversation. They are going at odds. As I said in my last video in chapter 12, that when you have a friendship that's 3 people, there's always going to be 2 versus 1. I can't explain it, but this has just been something that I've had to deal with. There's always going to be a third wheel, and you're always going to feel like you're never good enough. And this is kind of one of those moments where Ron and Hermione are going at it. Kind of for a good reason, because Hermione doesn't understand that she may have overstepped some lines and she's not putting boundaries on Crookshanks, and Ron feels the way. Ron really loves his rat. As of this moment, he really loves his rat. And Harry, who's really trying to be neutral and likes them both, right? They're both his best friends, is like, well, if I even tell you, like, I'm telling you my feelings without even siding with Ron, you're kind of wrong, Hermione. Like, you have to stop allowing Crookshanks. And then she gets upset. And then he's also on Ron's ass, like, you couldn't have just been nice for, like, a day. Like, yeah, we get it. It happened. It's the likelihood that it was Crookshanks, but, like, she's clearly upset, too. Like, oh, just so frustrating. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, McGonagall comes in, she ends the party, everyone goes to bed, and then all of a sudden we hear screeching coming from Ron and Harry's room, and it ends up being Ron, and wakes up the whole common room. And he's yelling that he saw Sirius Black standing over his bed with a knife in his hand. Now, without knowing that he is after Scabbers, that is terrifying. Not only to have someone that you think is a murderer, right, is known to be a quote-unquote murderer, but someone that you don't know is standing over your bed with a knife in your hand. Yeah, that's very terrifying. It's terrifying in itself. But you add in all those factors, like, oh my God, this, like, he was here and nobody was believing Ron, or I should say most people weren't believing Ron. And then McGonagall asks the, it wasn't the fat lady, it was the other guy who took over for her, because she was terrified of Sirius Black getting in, because he had already had already attempted. It was like, well, there was some guy, he knew the password, I let him in. Like, what's the big deal? No, I get it. He's a painting, and, like, he was technically doing his job, but also meant to protect the children. Neville accidentally lost the list that he had of all the passwords, and that's how, was it Sirius got his hands on it. I just feel, I don't, like, no. I swear, it's possible that Neville had ADHD, because what the fuck? Like, I know that I would be constantly forgetting the password if it constantly changed. I know I do that all the time now, and I have it in my I have it in my phone. And imagine, this is in the 90s when cell phones weren't a thing. So, or at least they weren't, like, as common as a thing, right? Like, they came out in the 80s, but, like, can you imagine? Oh, God. Anyway, my God was like, oh, shit. So anyway, that's kind of how it ends, and I think they realized that Ron was telling the truth. Like, Ron, as dramatic as this kid can be, he does tell the truth. It may be done dramatically, but he tells the truth. And we do see his dramatic side even more in the 4th book, in Goblet of Fire, when he and Harry are not talking and he still wants to get the information to Harry, and there's this whole, like, telephone game going on, like, so-and-so told so-and-so told so-and-so this information just to get, like, it was just ridiculous. But my point still stands, like, even in this chapter, right, as we see, there are different forms of bigotry coming into her work, and we see this with her descriptions of certain characters, the naming of characters, how certain characters are handled, right? Like, how, I mean, I will say how McGonagall would handle Malfoy and his friends versus how, say, Snape would, right? Snape would kind of let it poo-poo it off versus McGonagall. McGonagall's a lot more serious. It just goes to show you, like, there are prejudices with these characters. I know they're characters, but hear me out. With people, because they are, like, within your, house, from the same family, from the same area, because they're friends of friends. You guys get the point, right? Like, think about it this way. There were people that were Slytherin, right, in the Slytherin house, who did not like Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle. But the ones that did, and the ones that really catered to him, were the ones that also had family that were Death Eaters. They know each other. It's an underground group, and they know who they are. Their families hang out together. And there's this thinking of being quote unquote pure blood because they're not quote unquote mixing with muggles or other I'm going to say races in this instance, but other species, right? Whether you're a fairy, a goblin, an elf, a giant, etc., right? Which we see with Hagrid. How they treat other people is very evident. And so it's important to remember these things when we talk about problematic authors in these books, that you cannot separate the art from the artist. It's not just one theme, it is multiple. And I want to show that throughout a number of books, throughout, not just J.K. Rowling. It's going to come up in other things, that it's important, no matter what you're reading, to just be aware of some of those things. I'm not saying you can't still enjoy books, right? But we also have to note, like Harry Potter, that when we are putting money into the hands of authors who are problematic, who specifically not only don't apologize, but continue to fund organizations that go against other people's human rights, who are being predators and pedophiles, like J.K. Rowling is doing, who are adding to the increase of bullying and transphobia, buying the merch, watching the movies, buying the new books, right, or new versions of the books, and not discussing all this, it's harmful. And I know, look, as someone who is a big, or was a big Potter fan, right, was very well versed in the community, okay? I ran one of the biggest Facebook groups ever, specifically to Harry Potter. Half of the audience, half of the members, I would say majority of the members don't like J.K. Rowling, but half of them were like, well, we don't accept her. She doesn't run the fandom. Like, we're just going to pretend that she is not the creator of this universe. And that's all. That's a great idea, except in practice, it's not possible. When you are still purchasing things and that ends up putting money in her pocket, right? I know you could go to like small creators or buy secondhand. Look, I'm not saying you can't do that. But when you are still pushing the narrative of, I'm still a Harry Potter fan, I'm still this, you're telling people in the trans community and those that are in the LGBTQ community that stand with the trans community that you are not a safe person. That's all it's doing. So anytime I see someone talk about that, as much as I would be like, yeah, but here, like, no, you're putting money into her pocket. Now, look, if JK comes across my videos, I know she will hate me, and I don't care. I don't care. She hates the three children, who helped make her famous with the movies, Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, and Emma Watson, right? The three actors who played Hermione, Ron, and Harry, because they are staunch allies to the trans community. They constantly speak out and tell her how wrong she is. But when you have other, and she has been very, very nasty towards these three. And it's only because they speak out. But JK's thoughts, and she has said this herself, that if anyone reads my books or continues to support me, they have the same thinking that I do. So if you don't believe in those things, if you are against transphobia and any other form of bigotry, let's continue to work on stopping to support artists that are problematic. I'm not censoring it. It could still be out there. But when you are not putting money into those pockets, guess what? They might change their mind. They might come to the realization that maybe I was wrong. Anyway, I hope you have a good night. I will be back either tomorrow or the next day for the next chapter. I'm catching up. I'll see you then.